Welcome.
We are back
to Grand Central Terminal in New York City for live coverage of the 2012 Teen Masters Grand Championships. It's the boys championship final. Hello again, everybody. Mike J. Laneside on behalf of Extra Frame Online Bowling Channel, here with a three-time member of Team USA, Elise Bolton. One of these gentlemen is going to make it to the Grand Championship final.
So far, the energy here has been great. I feel this will be a great match. Every match has been filled with excitement, so I'm sure this will be the same as every match that has already happened.
We are expecting the excitement. One of these gentlemen is going to make it to the Grand Championship final. Let's meet them now.
I'm Greg Young. I'm from Vieira, Florida. I'm 16 years old. I've been bowling for 8 years. I first started bowling because of my grandma, and I just joined. You definitely never want to get negative when you're bowling. That's the last thing you want to do is beat yourself up after shooting 160. I like to listen to music, like the stuff that brings your spirits up a little bit. People in New York should root for me because last year was one of the toughest years I've ever had in my life with bowling. I was going through a rough time, and this year I'm trying to make a comeback, and so far it's going well.
I'm Yuratovich, I'm 16 years old, and I'm from Olathe, Kansas. And I'm absolutely ecstatic to bowl in New York. I've been bowling since I was about 3. Everybody in our family bowls, so it's pretty much the family sport. This tournament attracts the best high school athlete bowlers in the country. And my mom was at home, and I called my mom when I got done, and she answered the phone normally, and I said, "We're going to New York," and in 2 seconds, she's in tears.
Both of our competitors for the boys championship final have assembled, and here we are. Mike J. Laneside, PBA Tour champion Brian Zyzig, and the bowling guy is Jason Thomas. Best of 3-game tilt. Yuratovich and Young, the winner, will go on to the Grand Championship and face our Girls Championship winner. That match coming up next year live on Extra Frame. Brian, it's a best of 3-game tilt, single lane configuration. You've seen these gentlemen play. What's your assessment of the matchup?
Well, right now I think the early portion of this match, I want to see how Greg decides to break him down. If he gets left early enough to where he can break him down, while he's practicing right now, if he can get in and get left early enough, I think that's going to be a big advantage for him over Aaron. I want to see how Aaron also combats the fact that, we've seen in the first match earlier today that Greg really likes to get in, really likes to wheel on it, and we'll see if Aaron has a plan to either do something a little different than he had this morning, or if he's got a plan in his head to attack the line that Greg's going to be using.
We're live at Grand Central Terminal, and this is Vanderbilt Hall just outside 42nd Street, Midtown Manhattan. And a nice crowd assembled here, and the rest of New York passing through the terminal as these gentlemen do battle. Both went 2-1 through their initial match play effort. And this will be a best of 3-game tilt to determine our overall boys champion for 2012. Zach Hattori had gone back-to-back in this upper high school and now U18 division, as we call it here at the Teen Masters. And Zach won the very first $64,000 scholarship last year right here at Grand Central. So someone's going to join him today. Will it be one of these two, or will it be one of our girls coming up next, as Ashley Dunn and Haley Rubin will battle in the Girls Championship next year live on Extra Frame at 3:30 Eastern Time.
Even through practice right now, you can get a sense as to where Aaron is going to want to play them. He's going to play him, it looks like, with that pursuit, real similar to how he played him earlier this morning, in between 10 to 15, somewhere around the 12 board, 13 board early, and then he'll probably look to bounce left off the bat. Whereas Greg will probably just let him stay there as long as he wants and use that cyclone and get in, use his higher rev rate to bounce it off the part of the lane that right now in practice, it looks like Aaron's beaten up in that track area.
I mean, I really think that Greg Young has a huge advantage in this match on the pattern that they're bowling on. And I really think Aaron Yuratovich's only chance is if Greg doesn't bowl his best, and if Aaron bowls better than his best. Really, that's how much of an advantage I think Greg Young's got going into this match. But you know, Aaron Yuratovich is a tough kid, and I expect to see him put up a good match here for the title.
Well, initially 10 minutes was planned for practice, and we've exceeded that with a couple of extra practice shots, extra opportunity to set yourself up and line yourself in.
I mean, Greg Young is just striking at will right now. And I know we always say if you strike in practice, you won't in the match when the match starts, but he has struck on this pattern when the matches have started, and it's a best of 2. It's a best of 3, and if he gets out to an early lead, that might be the difference in the match.
Aaron does look like he's playing him a little bit deeper than he was earlier this morning. Looks like he may have a little bit more surface on that pursuit. He's closer to around 16, 17. Which may force Greg Young a little bit deeper, maybe affect Greg's carry a little bit as he inches closer to the 21, 22 through the arrows.
Now time for our boys national championship match. These two have survived months of qualifying a national tournament. They will be bowling a best 2 out of 3 match. The winner of this match is guaranteed at least $8,000 in college scholarships and will advance to our 7 o'clock grand championship match, where he will bowl for $64,000 in college scholarships. Our number 3 seed from Vieira, Florida, Greg Young. And his opponent, our number 4 seed from Olathe, Kansas, Aaron Yuratovich. Greg, as a higher seed, is elected to go first. One quick note. We encourage you to take photographs, but during the competition, please, no flash photography. We have plenty of seats in the grandstands. We are giving away Ebonite bowling balls and extra t-shirts. Just pick who you think is going to win, but you must be present to win, but we'll be drawing winners at the end of this match. Gentlemen, good luck. Good scores. Let's start them with a round of applause.
So Greg Young has elected to begin opening game, best of 3, boys championship, Team Masters final here at Grand Central Terminal. That's a pretty good opening shot.
Greg looks just as comfortable as he did earlier this morning. On that cyclone, just kind of bumping it out to 10 where Aaron was beating him up a little bit in practice. See how Aaron combats that with his first shot here.
Both players 2-1 through the initial portion of the round robin match play in best of 2. And this is best of 3. First player to win 2 complete games will be the boys champion for the Teen Masters in 2012. Here's Yuratovich. Out of Olathe, Kansas. He's a junior at Olathe East High School. Very interesting kid. Stays active in the youth bowling scene. He talks like a pro, and he loves following all the action. In fact, he is an Extra Frame subscriber. Loves to watch the action on the PBA Tour.
Wears his emotions on his sleeve too. If he's not happy with a shot or anything like that, you'll be able to tell.
Fun to watch. And then on the other side of the coin, out of Viera, Florida, is Greg Young, who is also a junior attending Viera High School. And for a junior in high school, just enjoy this approach to the line. Big backswing, real smooth. Watch his head. Couldn't move if you asked him to. That is steady all the way through. Wide right on the shot, however. Skates past the head pin.
This is almost the exact same start he had in his 9 a.m. match. Started out through that first one dead flush and then got off their second frame and with the head pin right. That's where he's got to settle down here, make the spare. Keep it an even match. We've noticed that Aaron has a propensity to come back late in matches. If you're Greg Young, you probably want to jump, get on him early, get this first match under your belt. They seem to get better and better for Aaron as he bowls on this pattern. Chop spare there gives Aaron an early 12-pin lead. Fooling around with that approach. We saw that also earlier today in the 9 a.m. match. Aaron having a little bit of issues with the approach. Now it's about 5 hours later. It's a little more humid, a little hotter in this venue. Maybe having an effect on the approaches right now. That's what you were talking about before. Head completely steady throughout the shot. Posted that shot. Split the 8-9 and talked about it a lot. Splitting the 8-9 on these one-lane dead sidewalls is definitely key.
And it's something the kid's got to pick up. If the carry's the way it is, then you've got to find a way to get your ball through this situation, through this set of pins.
Correct. And it's like Jason had said before with the little, normally you'd move a half because getting in the swish zone is not such a bad thing. It keeps you one move ahead. The problem with the swish zone on these walls is the fact that the carry tends to be a little bit less. So it's almost better off to wait to go 4-pin and move off of that than it is to move into the swish zone.
A little something like that from Aaron Yuratovich. Unique rule for the Teen Masters this year is strike balls are limited. Just 2 pieces of equipment, the Ebonite Pursuit or Pursuit S and the Ebonite Cyclone are the only pieces of equipment allowed for strikes.
Yeah, and it runs the gamut pretty much. The Pursuit is very, very aggressive high-end ball. The Cyclone's more of an entry-level kind of reactive. For an entry-level ball, the Cyclone is pretty strong. As you can see here, that's what Greg has chosen to throw, even on this long pattern. But his rev rate kind of dictates that he has to throw it. the ups and downs, ebbs and flows of a match. Aaron Yuratovich goes Brooklyn in the second frame, takes advantage of it by throwing a dead flush shot in the third. And now Greg Young is looking at another split.
So Yuratovich and Young doing battle here, game one, best of 3 to determine our boys champion. As you look at some of the folks here at Grand Central Terminal in Vanderbilt Hall, and we're excited to team up with Killer Bee Promotions and the PBA to bring you this Teen Masters Grand Championships for the second straight year here live in Manhattan. All the folks moving by left to right are coming from 42nd Street and heading into the terminal as Aaron Yuratovich looks to build upon a double here. Fourth frame of game one, best of 3, boys championship final. That got up a little too close. Big 4.
Yeah, he's not happy with that. Looked like he flew the elbow out just a little bit there on the release. Gonna get the 2 here. Give him 72 in the fourth. 16-pin lead going into the fifth.
So both players open in the fourth frame, opening game.
Something Aaron will learn. I'd like to see him when he gets up in that fourth frame after the split to really get aggressive on that shot. And it looked like he was just a little too careful, a little too tried to get a little too fancy with it. And when you got a chance to put the hammer down, especially in these individual matches, one game, 2, and 3 best out of 3, you want to put the hammer down when you get a chance.
Little like that. So interesting. You're not watching a bad lane. That's Young with strike, open, strike, open, strike.
That's a lot of that may have to do with the mindset. You get up there on a strike, you want to throw that double, and right now he's gone with the head pin and he's gone 2-4-10. I mean, he may be over aggressive, whereas Aaron in the fourth frame when he was on his double was a little bit under aggressive. Is that a word?
It is. I'm going to send it in. Urban Dictionary. 16-pin lead here in game one for Yuratovich, fifth frame.
Much better pitch there.
Strike for strike there with Young. Maintains his lead here in the fifth.
That was one of the first shots I didn't hear the ball hit the lane. I mean, the acoustics in this place are very loud, and it just seemed like Greg was a little bit short on that one. Ball, you could barely hear it hit the lane, similar to how Mike Fagan used to throw the ball before Mike started with the loft, with more loft, and that one you could see as to why it would hook early. He got it into the lane a little bit. Good cover there, though. Again, here's another chance for Aaron to really put the hammer down, give himself a 26-pin lead. I'd like to see him aggressive, even if he goes 2-8, maybe even a bucket. I would, flat 10 or something like that. I'd like to see him a little bit more aggressive than he was in the fourth frame.
I'm actually done.
Much better shot. Much better shot. You know, Mike J, you've been talking about it. He is a kid. He wears his emotions on his sleeve. In a venue like this, in a 3-game head-to-head match, he can really use that to his advantage. He can really get himself pumped up, really get himself on a roll, and shots like that could do that for him. Put a little bit more pressure on Greg here. It's 26 right now is the lead. He can push it to 36 in the 7th, regardless of what Greg does here. You know, you really want to see that out of a young bowler. Really be aggressive out there. Especially now, because it does seem like Greg's a little lost. He's getting a little caught in transition. His last 2 shots have gone high. Really like to see Aaron throw a real good aggressive shot in the 7th here and really put the squeeze in. Even more so now.
Well, at least at this point you're happy it's not a total pinfall 3-game set. Best of 3 games will determine our winner. Yuratovich in the driver's seat.
It's only the 7th frame, and I know it's only game 1, but this is the time you got to put, you know, your opponent's giving you the opportunity. You got to put your foot on his throat here. Throw this one. Figure something out. The last 3 frames. If you got to move, make the adjustments you got to move, and take a 1-0 lead into game 2. But this shot's key right here. And that was aggressive. That was definitely aggressive. And we've seen this a lot today. Tape adjustments, shoe adjustments. Now, like we said, if I were to guess the temperature in here, it's probably close to 77, 78, 79 degrees in here. Even with the air conditioning on, a little bit of humidity creeps in every time those doors up to 42nd Street open. You know, your hand's going to go up and down. And, you know, this is what we're seeing right here. He's putting tape in right now, it seems like. So it's like he's either getting a little sweat on his thumb or maybe his hand shrunk a little bit in between sets.
So gives the open right back. This is Yuratovich, but he still maintains a 25-pin advantage. This is game 1, 3-game set. Mike J. Laneside alongside PBA Tour champ Brian Zeisig and the bowling guy Jason Thomas. We've got Team USA's Elise Bolton watching the action down Laneside, and we'll get periodic interviews and reports from Elise. Greg Young up in the 8th frame. 3 opens here in game 1, and no doubles. Just 1 spare.
I made the adjustment after going high the last 2 shots. Ball hung on him just a little bit there. A little bit of the highlight reel working right now. Got to settle down here, make the spare. This match isn't over, even though it looks like he's going to the pursuit. Maybe just to get a feel in the ball. There it is here. Watch his backswing. He's got a little bit of a hitch. His elbow's actually bent, similar to Richie Allen, Dick Allen, to where he's got that little bent elbow right there at the top of his swing, and you can see he gets a break going Brooklyn for the strike. Got that little bit of a hitch there with his swing. It's very similar to how Dick Allen throws the ball. story of the match right now is Aaron's kind of taking advantage of those two brooks. He had the one in the second there he made a double out of, and that's your 25 pins right there.
You know, it's heartwarming to say Brooklyn here in the home of where that phrase originated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Greg's fishing right now. It's the old saying, what comes first, chicken or the egg? Is he lost and it's tightening his swing up, or is he tightening his swing up and that's why he's lost? That'll pretty much put an end to this.
Yeah, another
game.
open frame, so Yuratovich in prime shape to limp home here, up a game in the best of three. This is the boys' championship. The winner here advances to the grand championship final, where a $64,000 college scholarship is waiting for the winner. Our girls' championship match is coming up next. Ashley Dunn versus Haley Rubin. And the two champions will get together in the grand championship at 7 Eastern today to decide our scholarship winner here at Grand Central.
It's one of those things. It's easy to sit here as the three of us are right now and say, okay, you know what, he should be doing this, he should be doing that, maybe move left, move right. It's a lot more difficult when you're out there on the lanes. And then the one thing you also have to remember, I mean, we're talking about kids that are between the ages of 14 and 18 bowling for $64,000 worth of scholarship money. I mean, that's for a lot of kids, they can't even fathom that amount. And that's what they're sitting in the middle of New York City, in the middle of the biggest train station in the world, trying to bowl for $64,000. The pressure has to get to him a little.
Shaving 10 pins down. It's a big lead for Yuratovich. Young can finish just 158, and Yuratovich would just need a pocket full of pins.
Where if you're Greg, you know that shot's going to be looser. He knows the match is over. He knows the match is over. It's going to be a looser shot, and if you notice there, he did get it through the front. It didn't make the move in the back that he had hoped. So now he's sitting at 2-8-10. Now I don't know what he's going to do next game, because that was as well a thrown shot as he's thrown in the last 4 or 5 shots, and it still didn't do what he wanted. So he may not even elect to shoot anywhere near the 2-8 here. He may just look to throw another pocket shot if you see he's moving even further in on the lane, which leads me to believe he's just trying to hit the pocket. And that's exactly what he did. And that didn't look so bad right there, that shot. So he'll probably use that to start off his game too.
It's a 136 opener for Greg Young. And Aaron Yuratovich will take a 1-game-to-none lead here in this best of 3. And now Aaron has a free 10th frame to do some work.
In a position like this on the PBA Tour, a lot of times the guys will move completely off what they have, on the lanes. If they have a real good look, if they're comfortable with their look, they'll move completely away from where they're playing just in order to get those extra. You don't want the extra 2 or 3 shots to force any more breakdown than there's already been out there.
Aaron Yuratovich up 1-0 over Greg Young. Boys championship final for the 2012 Teen Masters. As we mentioned, our girls championship is coming up next year, approximately 3:30 Eastern time. Ashley Dunn, top seed, goes up against the number 2 seed, Haley Rubin. And then the boys and girls winners meet in our grand championship tonight at 7 Eastern time for a $64,000 college scholarship. Someone's going to be able to go to mom and dad tonight and say, hey, we've got college taken care of. Courtesy of the Teen Masters program. Phil ball for Yuratovich. So 179 the final for Yuratovich, defeating Young 179-136. And we'll go to game 2 with Yuratovich just 1 game away from the championship, and Greg Young needing 2.
Yuratovich leads 1-0. Bowl on, gentlemen.
Cameron having a little bit of fun with the camera back there.
Getting some airtime as Gary Beck checking in.
I think when he put his hands that far apart, I think he was signaling the size of my head.
Oh, it's beautiful too, because we're really evaluating these young talents as professional, as our professional eye sees it. But they're kids, and they're here to have fun. And when you look at all the great competition, it's also moments like that that remind you this is Cameron Doyle's first time to New York City. Brian, take me back to the first time you came and saw New York City.
Oh man, I know I didn't have to bowl for it. That's for sure. It was years ago.
So the excitement, traveling with your parents, getting to New York for the first time, competing for a national championship, getting to stay in Times Square, the short walk from Times Square to Grand Central Terminal, just an amazing experience for the kids that got to compete here, boys and girls, and the families came as well. So on top of all of the bowling and analysis of bowling, it's just the sheer joy of being able to compete at this event.
Yeah, the closest I had, the first real major kind of tournament I bowled, I was down in Showboat in Atlantic City. It was really the first tournament I really traveled for. And I can remember, just in that setting, at that time the pros were bowling at Showboat in Atlantic City. They had the U.S. Open there one year, and just bowling in a different locale, different setting with a lot of people there. It was nerve-wracking. I can't even imagine how this is.
So for more information on how you can participate in the Teen Masters Bowling program, either as a competitor or as a parent, teenmastersbowling.com. And Gary mentioned earlier during this competition that he's looking to have this venue be the venue for future Teen Masters Grand Championships and make it bigger and better each and every time.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a better venue, that's for sure. This is pretty amazing here. So it's third Brooklyn and 12 shots. Aaron's going to have to watch Greg very carefully here. You watch that first shot Greg threw in his first frame. It was a great shot. Came in light, saw the rack. Aaron's going to have to pay close attention to what Greg's doing here as to what he's going to need to do in order to keep his ball in the 1-3. Light there, but that will come to him at some point. I mean, his last 3 shots have been 2-8-10. He swished the rack and now a little light toop in there. That will come to him, especially if Aaron keeps playing just a little bit right with that more aggressive ball. That shot will come to him. Jay, when you were bowling regionals and stuff like that in match play, did you really like to watch your opponent bowl, or were you one of those you didn't really want to watch what they were doing at all?
I watched because I wanted to know if especially if they were playing a similar part of the lane as I was. I wanted to see if they threw a good shot and it hooked too much, so then I would know whether I should move or not. It didn't really affect me either way. If somebody went Brooklyn, I didn't really care until after.
Well, that's I think one of the big changes about the game has been since, from the the plastic era to the urethane era, and now that we're into the reactive resin era. You almost have to watch your opponent bowl now, because if their ball does something it's not supposed to do, or something you don't think it's going to do, you have to be able to respond to that and react to that, and make adjustments off of, a lot of times, what your opponent does. Good cover there by Aaron.
Yuratovich, 179, as you can see there in game number 1, and a game up on Greg Young. If Yuratovich wins here, he is the Team Masters boys champion. Young has to win this game to force a deciding game 3.
And believe me, he wants to finish it. I mean, for obvious reasons, you want to finish it as early as you can, but the longer this match goes, the more it swings in Greg Young's favor. Well, there it is. It's
Still
starting
there.
to come to him.
Starting there, yeah. 2-8-10 swish, 2-pin swish. A couple more shots there, he's going to be dead flush. We're assuming quality shots, obviously, but it's interesting. Looks like Aaron's going to join him in there and switch to his Cyclone. Get a little bit further away from the out of bounds. Good adjustment. It's paying attention.
He likes to talk, that's for sure. He was great in the booth yesterday. Came in a couple times and filled quite a bit of time for us.
Reminds me of me. He doesn't mind the sound of his own voice.
Beautiful look at the style of Young, and a beautiful result. Double.
Dead flush.
Match on. Bit of a table turning as well. Yuratovich was used to coming from behind, and now Greg Young attempting to do the same.
I really like this adjustment, though, by Aaron here. I mean, getting into where Greg is, moving in with a little bit of a weaker ball. Looks like he's geared down his speed a little bit. I think even if he doesn't, prevail at the end of this match, I think it's going to set him up very well for game 3.
A little something caught his eye there, crowd distraction, so properly resets. Yuratovich up 1-0 here over Greg Young. This is the boys championship match of the 2012 Teen Masters. Winner here goes on to our grand championship match, facing the girls champion. That match coming up next. Ashley Dunn and Haley Rubin, I'm sure, are anxious to compete. Coming up next here live on Extra Frame.
I thought you guys said we didn't have a lefty in the finals.
Brooklyn.
This is 4th and 15 frames.
And he threw one last night on the long pattern to get into this position today, where he was 2-0 coming into today against Jacob Ettinger in a roll-off.
If you're Greg here, you can't be bothered by that. You've just thrown 2 really good shots. That's a great pitch. That's a great pitch.
Uh-oh.
4-5 for Greg Young, and a 22-pin lead, but Yuratovich also on a double, trying to close out Young. If Young wins here, we'll have a deciding 3rd complete game. All of our preliminary round competition was the best of 2 format, with a sudden death roll-off in the event of a 1-1 tie, but this championship set is a best of 3. Game 2, 6th frame, Aaron Yuratovich out of Olathe, Kansas.
That's not. That is well wide of target.
Well, he just, he said, I'm not going to go Brooklyn. And he can't get the ball around the corner like Greg can. He doesn't have quite the rev rate. And also the way that ball's drilled, pinned down, looks like it's got a little surface on it.
Might be one of those things he may be better off almost playing a fallback type of shot off of, get even a little bit further left, try to get that ball to stand up right in front of the pocket. Looks like he actually used that spare to line up for the 1-3. It's a little dangerous to do with the 1-2-8, especially with the 8 up there. Didn't cost him anything though.
But now now the lanes are set up to the position we talked about before, where Greg Young has some room, and now Aaron's just going to have to out-bowl him by making shots.
You can increase it to 45 here with a strike.
A little noise in the background.
Yeah. It's to be expected in this venue. I'll be able to block it out.
In one of his matches in a roll-off, he was caught by a cough right in his downswing, and I heard it, and he said after the match that he definitely heard it, and it affected the shot that he made. Ended up costing him the match.
Much traffic over there in Midtown Manhattan, but nothing takes out the 10.
Like it was trying to go there, but again, same kind of deal. Dead sideboards. Spare here, up 24. Going into the last 4 frames. Down 0-1. But he is living in the pocket right now, where Aaron is still searching. Only one of his, he's got 3 strikes up there. Only one of his last 5 shots have actually hit the 1-3.
Ball change, gentlemen.
Looks like he's moving even deeper.
Maybe you're going to try that little fallback.
Let's see where this shot goes through the arrows.
Yeah, that's a good sign, actually.
It fell back, yeah, but you can move off that. You can tweak that a little bit. Key is not to get discouraged by that and just make the normal moves you would make. Stay clean. This match is far from over. You never know. Blower 7-10 here or something like that. Aaron shot, and he can be right back in this match. Right back in this game.
Yuratovich up 1-0. Game 2. Young trying to force a deciding Game 3. Yuratovich would rather end it here. Grand Central Terminal. We're in Vanderbilt Hall, just off the main artery here at Grand Central. Special 1-lane bowling assembly built. Second straight year of our live coverage on Extra Frame. Now Young on the spare. Game 2, 7th frame.
Almost had that blower 7-10 too. It's close. If you're Greg Young right here, you just live in the pocket, make those single pin spares if you happen to leave them. Make Aaron come get you. almost as if the fans know that this is worth a little bit more. A little bit more than, because it's as quiet as I've heard it. It's as quiet as I've heard it in here. It's almost as if they know that the magnitude of the match is a little bit more important than the preliminaries earlier today.
Well, generally, fans will feed off the players. If the players are more serious, that'll generally feed its way out there. As we're bowling for a title here, gentlemen. Yuratovich versus Young in the boys' championship. It's a little more tasty for Aaron.
Yep, he's got that little fall back, and then it's standing right up in front of the pocket. He doesn't have the rev rate that Greg does. He doesn't quite have the tilt that Greg does. That's kind of how he's going to have to attack it. You know, whereas Greg can get in a little bit deeper with that weaker ball and get his hand around it with his higher rev rate. Aaron's got a lower rev rate. He's going to have to back that ball in, get it stopped right in front of the pocket, just like that shot there. There's that cough you're talking about. Someone coughed right there also in his first step.
That backs it off. The old Wichita windmill, and we'll reset. 24-pin lead for Greg Young. Trying to decide and force a deciding game 3 by winning here in game 2.
Good pitch. Real good pitch there.
Just has so much snap at the bottom. It's got all that momentum. Ball's falling down from about 9 feet up in the air. Nothing's impeding it on the way down, and then he just snaps his shoulders. Ball comes off his hand perfectly clean. And that's why the ball revs up so much going down there and has so much pop on the back.
That's the benefit of having this camera angle too. You can actually see the facial expressions, as we mentioned before with Ashley. I mean, she looks very, very intense when she's letting the ball go. You can tell, these guys can tell off their hands as soon as you look at read their expressions as to whether or not they threw it good. They feel good about it. Aaron's still having issues, hand issues, whether it's, his hands sweating or going up and down, swelling.
Yeah, and when you're forced to make perfect shots, and you've got all these other issues going on with your hand, and he was telling me yesterday he was having an issue with moisture more than anything else. There's no hand dryer. It's very humid, and the lights are on, and he's having a hard time keeping his hand dry.
That was one of the things I noticed about last match. Haley had her own hand dryer.
That's pretty much going to do it for game 2, guys.
We are going to get a deciding game 3. Open frame for Yuratovich.
Yeah, any kind of good count in this frame from Greg will seal game 2 for him. Even with 9 out here, he only needs 7 in the 10th. 7 total pins in the 10th to lock out Aaron.
Oh, wow. 2-8-10 conversion for Greg Young.
That's as rare as a 7-10 conversion, guys. Maybe even rarer.
I can read Aaron's mind right now. He's going, oh, it's a good thing it's then, and not, not when it counts.
But that locks the matchup.
Yes, it does.
Just needs 2 pins. Pretty sure he can get that.
Aaron with a little something for Greg. 2-8-10 conversion for Greg Young. 10th frame and a chance for Yuratovich to plot some strategy for the upcoming deciding Game 3.
If it were me, guys, I wouldn't be looking for anything. If I were Aaron, I would just be looking to make good shots and just try to figure out how to get myself in a state of mind where my rhythm is good and the ball's coming off my hand as good as it can. He's really at a huge disadvantage at this point in terms of how much room he has on the lanes and how big his pocket is.
Not even going to get that extra ball to test it out.
It's a 170 finale. Greg Young has an open, wide, free 10th frame to do just about anything he wants.
Once again, in this position, this would be something that I would actually move maybe 3 and 2 to the right, maybe 4 and 2 to the right, just to get out of the zone that I'm actually using right now as my strike ball, in order to, you know, not exacerbate any more carry down that we're going to use, that we're going to use.
I'll do it from here. And then if you do the word at the end. We're not doing trophies to the
Jay, if you could flip to the other camera view, I want to see where Greg's ball's going through the arrows.
Oh, right, yeah.
So if you could do that on the fill, since he's doubled in the 10th. He seems to be a good 2 to 3 left of where Aaron is. I'd be interested to see if Aaron decides to move into that spot. He's moved a little bit left, but it's like you had said before, Jay, he does not have the rev rate that Greg does. It's just not there. So I'm wondering if he's going to move in a little bit just to beat up a little bit of what Greg has there. That was
left to 6
there. Left. I mean, he moved even further in, and he's in around 26 on that shot. And if he still has push there, I don't know if it's going to matter much what Aaron does. I don't think he's going to be able to do anything to Greg's shot.
Well, we're all tied up 1-1. Aaron Yuratovich took game 1, 179 to 136, and Greg Young takes game 2, 226 to 170. And we are going to go into a deciding game 3.
At the end of 2 games, Yuratovich Young tied at game apiece. We will now move forward to a third, complete, final, and deciding game to determine the 2012 Team Masters Boys Championship. How about a round of applause for these great young players?
As it looks like Greg's signing autographs right now. Either that or he's putting down on his book.
Yeah,
what
he needs to
wants
wait
do.
one more game before he starts signing autographs, I think.
That's why they don't allow that on the PBA Tour, autographs during competition. And this is it. One game. One game for the chance to bowl for $64,000 in scholarships. Greg starts off with a ring 10 there. I don't know if you guys caught that, if you really looked at that behind the thing, but Aaron Yuratovich was standing directly behind Greg Young when he threw that shot. Now there, if you could see, if you're looking at the screen right now, the seats that they have are off to the left. It's a little bit of a different angle. Aaron was standing directly behind Greg when he threw that shot, leading me to believe he's going to move in and get a lot closer to where Greg Young is, where Greg Young's ball is crossing at the arrows. So we'll see what he does. We'll see what he does here.
Unless his hand grows by about an inch and his backswing goes up by about a foot and his rev rate goes up almost 150 RPMs. I'm not sure if he's going to have much luck playing in there.
It's a little bit different, but there's always a way you can tweak, whether it be, ball speed, maybe getting your ball speed a little bit slower, in order to create something similar to what Greg has. And that's probably what Aaron's thinking right here is maybe get in a little bit more into where Greg has that nice look, slow his ball speed down a little bit, maybe get his hand around the side of it a little more, and he's not going to be able to do exactly what Greg does, but at least he can mimic it to the point where he can get some kind of look, because towards that end of that second game, he really was lost. And it definitely looks like he's moved another 2 or 3 at least left on the approach. That was much further in. Good job there by Aaron to pick up where Greg's ball was going through the arrows.
Looked like he was going to trip it. Trip the 4, but not the 7.
That's one of the things, based on the fill ball that he threw last game, we know that he's got more oil left of there. So if that part of the lane starts to break down, he has more room to the left. He can move more to the left and find a little bit more oil, a little bit more push to get his ball down the lane, assuming that Aaron's ball, which is the more aggressive ball of the two of each of their balls that they're throwing, if that starts to burn up the spot of the lane that Greg's using right now to get his ball down the lane.
Yeah, I mean, if anything else, offensively, it might not be the best move for Aaron, but it could have some defensive payoff. But it looks like after that first shot, it looks like it is the better place for him to be playing, and it does have that added benefit of messing up, for lack of a better term, what Greg's trying to do.
Just making him adjust more. That's really, people say messing up, but it's really about changing the look. Not only Aaron's look, but making Sean move a little bit more throughout this match than he has to. He's just got to trust it, though.
Yeah, it's tough.
That looked a little tentative.
Yeah, when you're not used to playing that deep.
Yeah.
Or it's not your A game. To trust it.
His
mind is trying to tell him to do it.
Yeah. Get your tempo down. Get your tempo down.
Major error.
I'm kind of speechless there, guys. I mean,
I feel like I may have mind jinxed him there, because I was thinking to myself, if you go Brooklyn and you leave the 5-pin, it's not the easiest spare in the world, because you just went Brooklyn, which means you would have missed the 5-pin on your first shot had it been the only one up there, and sure enough, he gets up there and misses it. Exactly the same spot to the left. Big opening here for Greg.
And hands it right back. Although makeable split, 5 count, and a tough spare pickup.
That's something we saw in match 1. If you remember match 1, every time Sean opened, Aaron opened right after him, and now we're seeing it here. You know, Aaron just gave him a huge break by missing the 5-pin, and Greg just again a little tentative. Maybe it went high based on the fact that Aaron's throwing that more aggressive ball now where he's playing. Maybe that's why it went high, but a little bit tentative, and it's 5 through the middle.
We've seen this converted twice here in Grand Central. And open frame, so Young hands the mistake of Yuratovich right back. Deciding Game 3 Boys Championship 2012 Teen Masters. Mike J. Laneside with the bowling guy Jason Thomas. And also joining us for expert commentary today, PBA Tour Champion Brian Zeisig. Elise Bolton from Team USA is working the sidelines. And we will talk to our winner following this Boys Championship match.
See where his ball's crossing. About 24. So a little bit right of where Greg is. And that one went high, so it might have been even further left of target. So
yeah, I don't know if his angles. Yeah, I think again for a guy like this who may not be used to playing this deep, late timing is actually not bad timing in this situation, because what it does is it opens up your right shoulder and gives you a better angle through the front part of the lane in order to get that fallback that he's looking for.
Just makes it. That keeps him in the lead in the match by 6.
Let's see, we've watched Greg shots here. He's gone ring 10. The next one crept a little high, went 4-7, barely got the 4 out, and then the next one went really high through the face. See if he moves into that 20. There it is, 27. 27 through the front part of the lane, just to get a little bit further away from where Aaron's trying to beat it up. Great shot there. Let's see if Aaron mimics that and also moves a little bit further left. That's a better shot.
Yeah, that one was actually right around the same spot as the 3-6-10, but he might have moved in a little bit.
The angle was a lot better.
Yeah.
He moved in, he moved his body probably 2-3 left, and his angle through the front was a lot better. But that's going to be the story right now, is if Greg Young can keep that push at 27 that he seems to have, I don't think Aaron ever is going to get that deep to where he's going to affect it.
Little squeak.
Now I know why you guys don't have a shot clock for this tournament.
It does. It has a sundial on it. Championship match 2012 Teen Masters. Greg Young and Aaron Yuratovich are tied at a game apiece. This is the deciding Game 3. Glad you're watching with us here live on the online bowling channel today. Girls Championship coming up next.
definitely has plenty of push in there. Now it's just a question of making that quality shot. We've seen this chopped quite a few times today. No easy spare.
Well, this kind of might be the same situation we saw at the end of game one, where he was leaving light hits, and then eventually it came to him. He's obviously further left on the lane now, and maybe within the next couple of shots here, it might come to him. But it's getting a little late in the game to be patient and wait for it to come to you.
When you look at his demeanor, he's not uncomfortable in there. He obviously looks a lot more comfortable in there than Aaron does. Yeah, Aaron's just got to find a way to grind through this, and even if he's got to throw another Brooklyn here for the double, I mean, right now it's it's anything goes. 6-pin match, you can make it 16 here with a strike.
Although Aaron's so high-strung, he'd probably look uncomfortable getting a massage.
I've been buried, but our event is going on, and we've had amazing press coverage. Fox News spent 2 hours after this meeting doing live segments on their Good Morning New York show, so that was very cool. And
Another back
I
off
just
here.
have not had a chance to pick up the phone and call Annie.
Needs to regroup. He's got to make sure he's aggressive here. Really aggressive through the front part of the lane.
Pretty big shot here.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest shot of his life. To be followed very shortly by more biggest shots of his life.
Winner here advances to the Grand Championship for $64,000 college scholarship. Boys Championship match, deciding game 3. Creeps high, big 4.
Well, count's pretty big here. He needs to regroup here, get the 2. Gives him 74 in the 5th. Be down 8 pins. If he gets any less than that, you're looking at double digits. 2 is a lot bigger than attempting to make this. So.
Just one.
There's the one. Now it's 10 pins.
Yeesh. 72 through 5 in our deciding game 3. Someone, Brian Zyzik, is going to have to step up to the challenge here. 5 frames remaining. What are the options, and what would you execute?
Greg's got to take a stranglehold of this match here. He's got to throw a couple good shots in a row here. 6th, 7th, 8th frames. Catch a double in here. Make Aaron really work. It really doesn't look like Aaron has much on the lanes right now. He's going to need to get a couple breaks in order to throw a double. If you remember, even in game 1 with the 179 game, he threw 2 doubles, but both of them had Brooklyns in it. So Sean needs to stranglehold the match. It's not a bad pitch there. Spare conversion keeps him 9 pins up. A situation like this, last 5 frames, and you're Sean Young sitting right now, and you know your opponent doesn't have a whole lot right now, throwing good shots, hitting the 1-3, leaving stuff you can make. Very important. Because a lot of times, even 9 spare will gain you pins in a frame when your opponent's lost.
So Greg Young losing the first match 179 to 136. Came back with a big 226 to 170 in game 2. And pretty even here in game 3. 9-pin match in the bottom half of the 6th frame. The thing about Aaron Yuratovich is when he needs a great shot, we've seen him do it here, he can make his best shot when he needs it. He loves to bowl under the pressure, as he said.
He just looks immensely frustrated. Does not look very comfortable playing that deep.
And he knows that Greg's not putting any pressure on him, and he doesn't want to just hand him the match. He's just he's just hoping that he can leave something he can make. And then when it comes down the line, and he needs to throw strikes to win, he has confidence in his ability to do it. A little frustration there. Saw him go for the bounce and try to bounce out the 4-6. But now trails by 20 without open frame there in the 6th.
Last two shots have been 2, 4, 5, 4 pin. See if he can split the difference here. Do you guys see that release? He really tried to come around the side of the ball, really wanted to create a lot of tilt in the back end.
It didn't look like it overhooked on the back. It looked like it never got far enough down.
Never got there, yeah. Just it looked like he dropped his thumb and it lost a lot of ball speed when he did that.
Like you said, making spares, you can pick up ground when the lanes are this tough. So 18-pin lead for Greg Young.
This stage of the tournament, there's no such thing as an easy multiple pin spare. You got this much riding on everything.
Or single pin spare, even for that matter.
Cannot get that ball to push down the lane, and he just doesn't look comfortable enough to get even further left. Pins, so three frames left if he converts here. Anything can happen.
Second major error. It's missed single pin. And that one's going to sting.
You get in this position, I mean, you can see it right there on the scoreboard. Sean Young, spare, last 3 frames, and he has gained, he was down 3 pins in the 4th frame. And he has not strung anything. He's thrown 1 strike in 7 frames, but he has made his last 3 spares. And he now sits with a 29-pin lead with 3 frames to go. And if that doesn't loosen up your arm swing, not much will. That was a good pitch there. And that shot right there shows the uncomfortability of Aaron when he's playing that deep. His last 3 shots before that had gone high. He finally gets up one and really gears on it to get it through the front part of the lane, and it never reads the back part of the lane. Just flies right through the break point.
Well, match not completely over yet. Makes a spare. He can still shoot 170. Greg Young would need to stay clean. But he could go a long way towards winning this title with one more strike right here in the 9th frame. This would virtually lock up the match.
Just another chance to step on Aaron's throat here. Saw a lot in the early matches not being able to do it. Let's see how he reacts here.
Just a little quick. I mean, that wasn't a bad shot at all. Just amped it a little bit, which is what good bowlers tend to do when they need a strike.
Mm-hmm. No gimme here on the 2-8. Got to take his time. Make sure he covers this.
Picks it up. Spare
Good
for
spare there.
Greg Young.
That was pretty big right there.
Yeah. Aaron doesn't strike here. Sean gets 7, first ball in the 10th. This match is over.
It's a tie to the game apiece. 9th, 10th frame for Aaron Yuratovich. Needs to find something and pray for rain. Otherwise, Greg Young will be the 2012 Team Masters Boys Champion and advance to the Grand Championship Final. Coming up tonight at 7 Eastern. Girls match awaits. Ashley Dunn and Haley Rubin are next. 9th frame for Yuratovich, working the spare. He's got to have it here. And he gets it.
There.
He's been clutch late when he needed it.
Makes him show up here.
29 pin advantage for Greg Young. The magic number is 171, and he will be a champion.
Counting a mark, and then count again. Let's get it over with now. Throw the strike.
Qualifying national finals in Cleveland and now Grand Central Terminal. Greg Young can wrap it up and claim the title. 10th frame. Comes up high, avoids trouble.
That could have been anything, Guy. That could have been a Big Four, could have been a Greek church. He will absolutely take that 9 right there. But now he's got to make it, and we just said sometimes single pins aren't all that easy to make when it comes down to pressure like this.
Not in this situation. Got it. Let's throw this one right up the middle. Get your 3 pins.
Yep. And get ready for a $64,000 match.
He'll have a couple hours to think about it. Greg Young on the verge of claiming a title at the Teen Masters. Just 3 pins is all he needs.
There it is, right down the middle.
Greg Young, 2012 Teen Masters Boys Champion. Yuratovich, the first to offer congratulations as he finishes up here. And we will go down shortly to Elise Bolton, lane side, with our champion. Greg Young will advance to our Grand Championship. Coming up next, originally scheduled for 3:30, we'll break the stream and come back shortly thereafter as we recondition the lanes. Girls Championship up next, as Ashley Dunn and Haley Rubin will do battle, and we will find a challenger for Greg Young. And Gary Beck is down lane side, and I'm sure he will have an announcement, and also Elise Bolton will have a word with our champion post-match.
Actually, slight change of plans there. Mike J is going to go down and do the announcement. A nice conversion there for Aaron.
Putting on a little show. Talking to the crowd. Great tournament for him.
Yeah, he's having some fun out there now.
Come on, Greg, do it. Or Aaron, do a trick shot.
Not much else has worked, right? You know, that's one of those. Why not? Great tournament for both of those guys. Greg Young comes out on top, 178 to 150. And Greg Young is now with Mike J. Laneside.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present the boys champion for the 2012 Teen Masters, Greg Young. Congratulations. We've seen you grow up on the lanes, Greg, and now you have a title to claim, National Teen Masters Boys Champion for 2012.
And I am in shock right now. I've worked so hard this year. I don't know. Came down to the end. First game, I was rough. This lane was just terrible. It was really hard.
What was the key to the match? It was a deciding game 3, and actually a rough start from both players, but you found something. How did you work through the options, and what was the option that worked for you?
Pretty much I just chased it left as far as possible. The lane ends at one point, so it gets kind of weird, but I had to end up lofting it a little bit, not too much, but I still couldn't find a consistent reaction.
Greg, coming up at 7 o'clock here live on Extra Frame and live right here at Grand Central, you are going to meet the winner of the Girls Championship for a $64,000 scholarship. Another big match coming. You got more work to do.
Yeah, I am pretty nervous for that one. No matter what, it's going to be crazy. Someone's walking out of here with $64,000 and a full ride to college. That's going to be amazing.
And this gentleman right here is going to be one of those folks in the match, Greg Young from Vieira, Florida. Congratulations, 2012 Boys Champion. Who will he face? Will it be Ashley Dunn? Will it be Haley Rubin? You'll find out next live right here at Grand Central and live on Extra Frame. Jason Thomas.